What's going on YouTube? It's Ben from Accruemi coming back to you again with another 5-minute video. And in today's video, we're going to talk about third-party logistics or third-party warehouses. Throughout the video, I'm going to say 3PL, and that stands for third-party logistics. And what I'm really talking about are third-party warehouses or warehouses all over the country that can handle your inventory in a similar but more flexible way than Amazon's FBA warehouses. So really quickly, for those of you that don't know, my name is Ben. I'm one of the co-founders of Accruemi, and Accruemi is the leading business-friendly funding solution for Amazon sellers like you. So the first question we're going to answer that I get a lot is, when should I start using a 3PL versus storing the inventory that I have in my garage or in my office or at my friend's house? And there's going to kind of be a two-part answer to that. So the first reason why you should want to start using a 3PL is when you are storing more inventory than you can afford to lose. So, if you have a couple $100s worth of inventory and something happens to it, somebody breaks into your house and steals it, or you have a flood and it gets destroyed, you could probably afford to lose a couple $100s worth of inventory. But if you had a couple $100,000 worth of inventory and something happened, it would probably be pretty upsetting to you. And that's why if you use a professional 3PL with proper security, proper insurance, all of that good stuff, your inventory will be safe. And if you can't afford to lose that amount of inventory, it's okay because you're properly insured and your inventory is properly protected. The second reason why you might want to start using a 3PL is going to be once you're doing Amazon full time or building your Amazon business into a real business. The reason I say that is because 3PLs, and we'll talk about this a little bit later in the video, open up a ton of other opportunities to you as an Amazon business owner. And once you have a 3PL, you'll be able to grow a lot faster without getting those good opportunities and then having to scramble to find a 3PL or to do it yourself. So the other question I get a lot is, why should I use a 3PL? I have a big warehouse I have a big barn on my property that I can store all my product in. And the number one thing, and we already touched on this, is going to be insurance and protecting those assets. If you are storing your inventory in a barn, chances are it's not properly insured, it's not properly secured, and there's all kinds of other risks that you may not have accounted for. When you're working with a real 3PL, your inventory is usually safe. It's usually under 24/7 security. It's usually planned and protected from things like flooding and fire that you might not have in your barn in your backyard. Number two is, it's going to be a lot more work for you to do all this fulfillment stuff by yourself instead of just using a 3PL. It's okay if you're maybe receiving a package or two once a month and shipping a few things out here or there, but once your business grows, doing fulfillment and receiving packages becomes a full-time job, and that's just really not what you signed up for, right? You're selling on Amazon and doing an e-com business so you can have more time to do the things that you want and to focus on growing your business, not to basically be a warehouseman receiving packages and running to UPS all the time. The third thing is going to be, depending on how you personally value your time, it's usually going to actually be cheaper to just use a third-party logistics warehouse than to do everything yourself. So if you think about it, maybe you value your time at just $20 an hour. Let's say that you're doing 5 hours a week of shipping, receiving, and storing. Even if you only value your time at $20 an hour, you're already using more value of your time than it would cost for you probably to use a 3PL warehouse. A lot of the smaller sellers we work with are paying 3PL warehouses only a couple $100 to store a few pallets, receive them, and ship them out when they're needed. So there's really no point, especially when you have a little bit of scale, to be doing it yourself. It's going to end up costing you more than just using a professional. Now, the fourth reason why you're going to want to use a 3PL warehouse instead of doing it yourself is really going to tie into if you're storing your product with your supplier. So a lot of times, and I've even done this myself, maybe you'll buy $40,000 worth of inventory from a supplier here in the US, and rather than taking that whole $40,000 and shipping it directly to Amazon FBA, for example, you'll tell the supplier, ship $10,000 worth of the inventory to Amazon and hold on to 30 of it until I need it, and you can send the next 10 in a month, and then another 10 after that. And that all sounds great because usually your supplier is not going to charge you anything extra to hold on to that inventory and do that. But the big risk is they're also usually not going to segregate your inventory when they're holding it for you. So for example, if that supplier is holding $30,000 of your inventory and maybe they go bankrupt and they have a creditor come to their warehouse to take the assets of the business, they're not going to have a sign on the inventory you already paid for that says, this is John Smith's inventory, don't take it and send it to him. Instead, what's going to happen is they're going to take all of the inventory, and then you're going to be dealing with a nightmare trying to get your inventory back from your supplier's creditors. So that's really a big thing when you're working with a professional 3PL, is they're going to segregate your inventory properly, and if anything ever happens to them, you have clear contracts with them, and anybody would know that that inventory belongs to you, the Amazon seller, not to the person who's actually storing it. Now, the last thing, and this is going to be a big one for all of you that are looking to grow your Amazon businesses, is that having a 3PL set up that you're working with gives you a lot of flexibility and options when growing. The first thing that a 3PL can help you do is multi-channel fulfillment. So you can start selling FBM, you can sell with Walmart fulfillment, you can sell at eBay, all kinds, Shopify, all kinds of different stuff. And your 3PL warehouse can be holding some of your inventory, and when you make a sale, they can go and pick it, pack it, and ship it off to your customer. And that's going to open up a lot more opportunities to basically operate on a lot of different platforms the same way you do on FBA without having to worry about shipping everything yourself. The next big thing is that having a 3PL established that you're already working with is going to give you the ability to take advantage of opportunities as they arise. So for example, let's say that you find a supplier who's selling a pallet worth of stuff, it's a great deal, but they refuse to ship it to FBA, and the pallet is of single units, and you need to turn them into multi-packs to make the most profit. Well, if you didn't have a 3PL and you were just basically using your home office as your warehouse, you probably have to pass on that opportunity, or you would be scrambling to set up a 3PL so you could take advantage of that opportunity, or you might tell them, I'll take it and send it to my house, and next thing you know, you have a pallet of stuff show up at your house, and you don't have a forklift, and you're really just gonna have an even bigger headache than if you bought the stuff in the first place. But if you have a 3PL already set up, you can say, yep, I'll take the deal, send it to my 3PL warehouse. The guys at the 3PL warehouse can multi-pack it for you and then ship it into FBA, and you just took advantage of a great deal that you found, and it wasn't a chaotic mess for you trying to find a 3PL last minute. And now the last thing some of you, especially if you're private label sellers, may have experienced is going to be just flexibility in dealing with Amazon. So as you know, during COVID, Amazon changed the rules of how you could send in inventory, and a lot of 3PLs also stopped accepting new clients at that time. So if you were selling on Amazon and had restrictions on your inventory, you basically had a bunch of inventory and didn't know where to send it. And if you had a 3PL already set up, you really wouldn't have had that much of a disruption in your business. You just would have added an extra step in between FBA. The same goes the other way, right? If you're a private label seller and maybe you've made a bad purchase here or there and you have a ton of stuff that's not selling, and now Amazon starts charging you long-term fees, instead of having to take another month and pay another month worth of long-term fees while you set up a 3PL to take that inventory back, if you already have one, you simply put in the removal order, send the stuff to your 3PL, and now you're paying a fraction of the price to store your inventory while you figure out how to move it. So that's really it. Hopefully this helped you better understand why and when you, as an Amazon seller, should start using a third-party logistics warehouse. If you liked the video, hit the like button. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe and you'll get notified every time we post a new video. And then also, if you are looking for funding to grow your business, that's what we do at Accrueme. I'll put a link down below to a 3-minute no risk, no obligation funding questionnaire where you tell us a little bit about your business and we tell you how much we could invest in you. So that's really it. Hopefully you like this video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video.